Humanitarian Love episode with Pauline. Hi, Pauline.
Hello, Asel. Hi, everyone.
Yes, we greet you from different parts of the world. So, we wanted to talk to you today about the topic of holiday season and how to welcome it, basically. Because for many of us, it may be not such a great time to be on our own or working or being in places that we don't necessarily want to be, right? So that's why, whatever the thing that you might be coming up, we wanted to address those feelings, those concerns. So let's start maybe with Pauline of our own experiences of being a humanitarian, being in places that are not easy also to be in, and also being on our own. How and during holiday seasons, how was it?
Yeah, well, I was thinking, reflecting of, yeah, Christmas time for me, maybe being on the field was easier actually, because when you are
Mm.
on the field, like my experience was living in a community, living with other colleagues. So there was a sense of community. And so the feeling of uh, loneliness was not so much present maybe. And then I can imagine that in other contexts, being on mission, you can feel lonely as well at this time of the year. But also for people who are working headquarters, who are like have a more regular life, like this idea of being single in the holiday season. So for the Americans, celebrating from Thanksgiving to now Christmas, Hanukkah, like all this time of coming together, that's really a family holiday and being together. And I know that it can feel like the loneliest time when you are single. So I have this experience. I remember craving more a partner in this time of the year,
Yeah.
seeing, because in some places, I mean, in the northern hemisphere, it's cold. You want to cuddle. You want to stay cozy at home. You don't want to necessarily go out. You want to be at home with your person. And then there's all the family gathering, family dinners, or office gathering. And so yeah, where you see people being paired up, and so it's like more in your face than the rest of the year, I feel like. And I know there's
Mm.
feel that's yeah, this is the time of the year where single feel the most loneliest. So
Yeah.
yeah, and you have also the all the romantic movies, on Netflix, like all the Christmas romantic. So like it's really in your face, like well, family romantic is like
Yes.
it should be romantic. You should be with someone. So yeah, I feel this is like especially hard at this time.
Yes, exactly. And I was also thinking of actually different scenarios, being with the family and also feeling like lonely. This is, I
Hmm.
think, one of the things that I often notice in my family because I had this feeling of they all have like their families and children, and then, and me feeling like, okay, I don't really fit in anywhere in there because everyone seems like content, and I'm the one who is this person who's single, right? So these are the like some of the memories of my like holiday seasons because I don't celebrate Christmas, but the New Year for me is a big thing. So, and the other things also, I remember that because I wanted to like escape being on my own and I wanted to go to a party and being in the party with other people, hoping that this will like somehow ease up. And of course, I would team up with other single friends to go on different parties. And then also, oftentimes, telling myself that, well, I should be happy or I should be enjoying this. I should be um, making the best out of it because if I was alone in my work environment, I wouldn't be able to do that. So therefore, I better do something. So in other words, I remember a lot of the time also pressuring myself to be in a different state than I was in. Right. So
Mm.
that's why I am happy that we're talking about this so that we are really like I feel like all of those experiences taught me to really be honest with myself and say if I really want to be on my own in the holiday, that's what I should be really doing instead of like following the society's like some kind of norms of being with a family or being with someone and being on your own maybe is considered in some communities as like, you don't do that, you're supposed to be part of a family, you're supposed to be, right? So therefore, after going through those experiences, I just decided to myself that if I want to be on my own, I really want to, and I want to just, do the things that I really want to do, instead of like always trying to like be somewhere, be doing something because I felt like that's what I was supposed to, and then not really enjoying it, and also thinking, okay, what's the point of being here if in the end it's not really, what was true to me, right? So that's why, suffice to say, I think after doing lots of experiences, one gets wiser. So yeah, so that's where my experience come from. So maybe the topic that is most then irrelevant to people is like, okay, if I want to do it on my own and celebrating on my own, or if I'm doing it with other people but I'm single and I still like am reminded of my situation because I see other people, right? So what do you think we could say that could resonate with those people and say, yeah, that's exactly what I want to do?
Yeah, for me, reflecting on like what kind of advice we can give in this situation, I think there is three aspects of like three categories of advice on regardless how you're doing, either you're doing it on your own, or if you're doing like in the more traditional way, like joining family dinners, and how to basically cope and make the best out of it, how to welcome it, as you said. Um, I would suggest that the first thing is, because we're talking about, romantic season, like I would talk about self-love for yourself. So really, really be kind, like maybe even more, or take this as an
Yeah.
opportunity, because I think there's some risk for you was like, I should. For me, the story at Christmas was like, why am I the only one without a partner? Why am I a special snowflake? So because there's this risk for triggering like your mental health and your well-being, and risk for going into, I would say, negative self-talk, be especially cautious with that, and make it like the season of self-love, and maybe decide like if you want to have a partner, like let's, take that opportunity if you have more time and energy than when you're working full on, if you have some holiday. Take care of yourself, and taking care of yourself and self-love, you can do this activity that, you can practice self-love in different ways. You can practice self-love in being very attentive to your needs. So what do I need? Do I need to be alone in this time? Do I need to rest? Do I need to go on a walk? Do I need to call a friend? So really paying attention to your needs and to what makes you happy, what makes you joyful, and being very cozy, whether it's a warm cup of tea or a nice blanket, or wherever you're in the world, doing things that are good for you, for your emotional being, for your physical being, really taking care of yourself with love, as if you were your own soulmate or your own best friend. Like, how can I take care of myself right now? What can I do that is the most loving for myself right now? Is it getting a massage? Is it, so yeah, I would say this is the first practice, or one first way to practice self-love through self-care,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly.
Yeah.
And maybe I could add to that, the opposite of what not to do, because I was thinking about this a lot, is like, if you can, of course, this is just a suggestion, right? If you can, try not to distract yourself with things that you would normally distract yourself, like work, like report writing, or like catching up on all the emails or all the things, because your true self will know that this is what you're doing, and it will make you even more sad, or it will reinforce like a lot of the negative self-talk, or the negative things that we tend to think about on daily basis. So that will be just reinforced if we just keep distracting ourselves, because we believe that if we distract ourselves and just shut down from the world and come out when the holiday season is over, I feel like we're a bit like lying to ourselves in some way. I mean, of course, this is assuming you are someone who traditionally celebrates some kind of holidays, right? If you're not someone who does that in general, like you're not a celebrating person, then this may not apply to you. But if you're someone who likes the idea or wants to celebrate in one way or another, then just honor that instead of like going on your usual day of, okay, I better do this and that so that I don't need to think about other things. So don't do that. So that's why I love what Pauline was saying, is that instead of distracting yourself, like letting all of the things be, and also not shooting yourself, not telling yourself you're supposed to this or you're supposed to that, but just rather be in the season of holidays and just think of how best you want to create the environment where you really want to be. Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I like how the conversation, we're shaping it. That's yeah, if you're celebrating, yeah, Christmas or the holiday in general, yeah, make it special. Make it
Yeah.
special, but maybe in your own way, you know?
Exactly.
And I love what you say, because this could be easily, and maybe for humanitarian, especially the overworking, could be a very typical, like, say, coping mechanism. So if you want to work, if you love to work, and if you feel good, why not, you know? But maybe you try,
Mm.
maybe you're like, yes, it's the holiday, but I'm going to make my holiday,
Yeah.
because we also know that overworking, as much as overeating, over drinking, like anything that is over, when there's an emotion, when you're feeling a bit sad and not so great, is a way to distract yourself, as you mentioned, is a way to buffer, is a way to not feel what is happening. So
Yeah.
if you do this, you're gonna keep those feeling with you along the way. So better feel like, okay, maybe I feel, yeah, maybe this is something else we can advise, is like being open to feel what is present, which
Yeah.
is maybe longing for a partner, which is maybe sadness, loneliness. Like, don't, like, allow yourself to feel it, as we often say, like, feel it in your body, like make space so that recognize, like, yeah, maybe I feel sad today, maybe I feel I wish something. But again, like we always talk on this, I think, on this conversation, like not going into, oh, I should do this, or make it mean that I'm there's something wrong with me because I'm another part, like not following the downwards thought spiral into like making it something negative or about you, but being like just recognizing the emotion, the feeling, if it's happening in your body, like sitting with it a little bit, and then, okay, from that place, how can I take care of myself? How can I, yeah, I notice that I feel a bit down today, so what would be good for me? And I put my hand on my heart, because for me that's a way to listen to my body, to be like, okay, what do I need? Well, maybe I need to move my body and go into the sunlight. Maybe I need to take a nap. Maybe I need to call a friend. So this is where I want to bridge this idea of like taking care of yourself, especially because this moment can be hard, and just recognizing also what you're feeling. So yeah.
Exactly. Yes. And also, I just love this idea that holiday season is not necessarily supposed to be the season of stress or season of pleasing everyone or season of, I don't know, like supposed to's and shoulds, and then organization we just get ourselves into. And sometimes maybe we do it for the right reasons, meaning that we want to create that atmosphere for our family or for our loved ones, right? So that's very understandable. But I think also just remind yourself this is also the season for you celebrating yourself and being who you are in that moment, right? With all the emotions that come up. Maybe emotions of things that we didn't achieve that we wanted to, or things that we did achieve but didn't really get to celebrate them. So whatever it is, all the emotions are allowed to be there, instead of like, I need to deal with it later, but for now I have to be happy, or I have to be, I don't know, this is more like my background, because I feel like people from my country often have this idea that on festive seasons or celebrations, everyone has to behave in a particular way. And if one of them is not fitting with that mood, then you feel a bit like ostracized, or you feel like you don't belong, right? So that's why I really remind myself that no, it's okay that if I'm the one who is not really in the good mood or in the cheerful mood or whatever, because that's what's true for me in that moment, right? So that's why I love this idea of allowing all the things to be there. And it doesn't mean that I'm not celebrating it. It just means that in that moment I'm taking care of myself. And then I can come back to celebrations with more honest me rather than faking me, right? So that's just something that I wanted to point out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. What are the other things? Yes.
Yeah, I thought about boundaries, the topic of boundaries, because we are talking about gathering, family gathering. So yes, first, like, remember that you can always like choose what's good for you. So you can choose, like, for example, not to go if you don't want to go. Like, this is a possibility. Like, want to put it out there. I know that for some people it's like, what? I can do this. Like, why not? You can consider not going. And then I was thinking of boundaries because when you are single, you know, in those social gathering, family gathering, there's always like the uncle that you haven't seen for a while who's like, oh, but why are you still single? How come, you know, you're still single? And then TikTok, like, you know, if you're a woman, like, hurry up to make children. So this kind of embarrassing question can come up. I feel Christmas is a particular time for that, or family reunion in general. So yeah, for me, boundaries is also a practice of self-love, is a practice of like protecting yourself in a way, like energetically, you know, like saying like this is off limits, like so you don't have to answer necessarily in an aggressive way, you know, but in more in an assertive way, and to be like not being completely caught off guard by this type of conversation, feeling like defensive and like that's remembering that you don't owe personal information to anyone, that having boundaries is something that is healthy, that is not so many people know about this concept and practice this, but it's so important. And boundaries is not being against or saying no to some people, it's more like honoring yourself. So for me, this is really self-love. And so it's about being present, and like if you have a question that you're not comfortable with, like taking a deep breath and you know, practicing answering in a loving, polite, but assertive way. That maybe, why do you want to know? Or, oh, that's something I'd rather not talk about. Or one way that is also reverting back a question, you know, like asking the question to the other person. So there's different things that you can look at, but just to open the door on this topic of boundaries. But before asserting a boundary or before answering this way, you need to be, you know, be present with yourself and practice being, you know, grounded, in order to answer those type of questions in a, you know, in a calm, grounded way.
Yeah, and also you can. For me, this question comes up a lot, and I think it comes up like from every aunt I meet, basically, and I have so many aunts as well on top of it. And it used to bother me so much in the past, but doesn't anymore. And I think part of this thing is also what I realized is that whenever they ask this question, it's not really about me, and I just don't make it about me at all. It's just their worldview of things, right? And I just take it with understanding of, yeah, this is how they always have been. It's not like they turned up yesterday and started getting curious. So that's why I just don't even entertain anything being about me. It's more like me telling them, no, I haven't decided, or I'm not having children, or whatever the thing that I say. And then I just leave it there. And I feel like it's so calm way of responding to them without like making it something, oh, they're talking about me again, and this family only is interested in my like love life or my life with children or whatever, right? So because I don't really want to like dramatize it for myself, and I don't find that useful to even entertain those thoughts at all. So it's just, again, something you can consider, whether you let other people's opinions and questions, like in quotes, destroy your mood, or you just let them be with their own questions and then you just continue enjoying it, or being present in that environment. So whichever way suits you best. Okay. Any other things that you had other suggestions? I remember.
Yeah, I was thinking that the last point could be, as we are approaching the end of the year and so the beginning of the new year, that this can be also the occasion to reflect, as every ending and then a beginning, like seeing life as a cycle, thinking of what you're releasing, maybe making like a journaling practice of what you're choosing to let go and to release, and then starting already to set intention for the year ahead. So that's maybe we're early to talk about this. Maybe we're, a few weeks it's going to be this. But if you are desiring a partner, like, instead of staying stuck in the gloomy state of like, oh, it's Christmas, like why am I not in a partnership? I so desire this. Like, okay, maybe you can start saying, okay, I'm going to take care of myself super well during the holiday, and I'm already planning that 2023 is the year that I meet my person, and how would that look like, and just starting to be in the believing. Maybe I was thinking about, Christmas, Santa, believing in magic.
Yeah.
And so this idea of like, yeah, being open, practicing, starting to be open to this idea.
Yeah, amazing. And I'm actually practicing. This is another goal, but I'm actually practicing being in the most amazing scenario that I can think of, and being in that scenario more, and then experiencing all the feelings with that, right? And at first it was very not natural thing to do, because I think we tend not to do so much, even though maybe many of us daydream, but it remains more like an idea that never gets implemented somehow. But my way of like thinking about it, and I think Pauline, you probably also do this way, is more like being very intentional about it, meaning that thinking of something or believing in something that's about to come to be true. It's just we don't know the dates yet, right? It's more like this. It's like it's not even like in general fantasizing or daydreaming. It's more like very intentional, purposeful, directional way of thinking, staying in the magic, like in our minds, of course.
Uh-huh.
And then just practicing believing that being coming true. And we just don't know the dates, but we are sure it will come true. Like the Steve Chandler's quote always come to my mind when I think about it, because he says actually about New York, he says, imagine if you bought a ticket to New York and it's coming in 1 month, right? Let's say, and you know exactly what to do, you know exactly how to plan, you know exactly how you imagine your trip will be there, and then you get ready, and then you get the taxi and go to the airport, and all the things. So, and I always think of my goals that way as well, of like, okay, I'm imagining it's like a ticket to New York, right? And all I need to do is being in that magic of me being in New York, and doing all the things, and the plane will be just the means. And you can do that too with anything that you desire. So especially if you are looking for love, imagining the next celebration, the next festive season, like Pauline was saying, that could be the time where you are with that person in that environment where you want to be, celebrating together. How would that be? And start getting ready for that.
Yes, I love this, especially because I'm in New
Yay.
York. Also, I took my ticket
Exactly.
and I'm here. So totally, yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about, right? So, because when it comes to like certain things, we just tend to do things very easily without much of a drama, without much of a thinking like it's going to be difficult or whatever. We just like buy the ticket, or we just get the contract, we just move to another country, right? Especially humanitarians were like so good at it. And that's actually not a presumable skill, but we just have done it so many times that for us it becomes easy to do it. And I was thinking, what if our goals, our dreams, our desires that we want to achieve, what if they were the same way? We just think of it in that way of like, okay, this is the person I want, this is the environment I want, this is how I want to be celebrating next time. So how do I go there? and then we start going there.
Yes, we start planting seeds in our mind, and then yes, we take the steps, we take the action towards getting there in a easier way. Absolutely.
Yes, exactly. So, anything else that we forgot to tell, Pauline?
I think we covered most of it. But I would love if people are commenting or asking questions, like if they have special, particular challenges in this time or question, like really send it our way, and we can answer them in the comments. And yes,
Exactly. I love that. And I just also want to just say to everyone that, I know that we may think of magic being a cliche thing, or I don't know, for some people, maybe it's not really the word that they like to use, but why not use this festive season just to be thinking and believing all the possibilities existing in the world, and us just getting towards it and walking towards it, right? And that's, I think, one of the reasons why I love this period of the time, is because it gives me a chance to think of all the things that I really want to do and experience in life, and then I just start thinking about it, and then planning about it and all the things. And even if you're not good at planning or not good at like seeing a long-term things, but just allow your heart, allow your emotions come out to tell you this is what you're truly wanting, and the path to go. And if not, you can always find other people who can assist you in that path, and yeah, believing that it's possible and just making it possible. Okay, my dears. Thank you, Pauline. Thank you all for listening and being with us. And happy holiday season starting, continuing, and see you very soon. Bye.
yeah, bye.